Hey man, we finally got there.
Yeah, yeah. We finally got there. How you doing, Sid?
Sales story, and then you had a lot. What? Um, so do you think Stokes can do the miracle, and do you think Duckett will make a century? I think we were quite unlucky in the first inning. I think he played a silly shot to get out, but it is what it is. I think a lot of the batsmen did silly shots to get out in the first innings, but yeah, I think baseball is okay if you balance it with a bit of common sense. I mean, what was didn't Jeff Boycott at that practicality to pragmatism? Yeah, if you balance it out well, like if you want 80 for one, technically you should be making like 400 plus or 500. So that's just my thinking. Don't know if you agree with me or not.
Yeah, uh, there's a balance. There's a difference between being aggressive and being
Yeah,
reckless. I think being
yeah,
reckless is you giving the opposition, you're gifting the opposition wickets, and that's exactly what we saw in that first innings from England. Because I don't think they were too far away from that Australian score. They just batted sensibly. They probably would have, if they batted sensibly, they probably would have taken a lead as well. But unfortunately, they collapsed in the last six wickets went for under 50, and that brought Australia back into the game. Winning the toss and bowling first, they didn't bowl well. They didn't
yeah,
bowl the first day, unfortunately. They didn't. Bowl. If you win the toss and bowl first, you want to have the opposition down at least down by the first day, and they didn't do that, and the run rate was for Australia was quite good as well, and yeah, they came back on the day too, and they got the balance of the wickets, but I felt 400 plus is still a good score, eh?
mm,
On that pitch, and I mean. Runs on the board is always important, and that's what Australia got. But yeah, this baseball thing is really it's kind of irritating me in a bit, hey, because remember something, you you gotta have conditions to suit this kind of play. You gotta have the pitches that are flat. There's so many things that need to obviously you take into account before playing this kind of cricket. And England are just trying to play it on any kind of surface, which is a bit frustrating. And I think it's frustrating the supporters as well because I mean, we call it Basil, media call it Basil. The coach doesn't want to call it Basil, calls it positive cricket. But I think they're trying to be too positive here and just let the opposition back into the game. That's what's been frustrating to watch
mm,
from England's point of view. That there's such an obsession with beating Australia that they're just trying to go so hard at it, and as you say, common sense is not prevailing here.
yeah, yeah. You're right, but those two catches were controversial ones. Steve Smith's one was given, and then the Stark one was given not out. Honestly, I think Stark's decision was right, although some will disagree. And then I think Smith's one, I don't know what's up with the Australians getting these dodgy catches going in their favor. Even in that Indian final, I thought Green's catch was questionable, but yet that was given out. So I think Australia was getting the rub of the green when they're having these catches, and this time it didn't have the rub of the green yesterday. So it's a strange old thing, eh?
Yeah, but I guess England have only themselves to blame for being in this position. I mean, the way they bowled on day one, I said they were really flat,
Hmm.
and that first innings was an opportunity for them to get close to that Australian score or even better it, because I think if they were chasing 270, 280 on this wicket, they probably you probably have more confidence in the sense that you
Yeah.
can get this job done. But now chasing 378 plus, I mean, it's doable, but it's going to take an Herculean effort by one of these two batsmen. And I think
Yeah.
Stokes hasn't had a good series. He's been awful with the bat, and I think this probably could be his time. And I think he owes the team a score. And I think if he doesn't get a score and England loses this game, there's going to be a lot of question marks on the captaincy. There's going to be a lot of question marks on the coaching because I mean it was their decision to play this way. It was their decision to play this way. It's all good and well beating New Zealand 3-0 on good pitches, flat pitches, and beating an Indian attack that was really flat last year at Edgbaston as well, and on a good wicket as well. But I think the true test comes when you're playing Australia, and they're not stepping up to that test at the moment, playing Australia, and it's such an important series. But I just want to say, this is Test cricket. You got 5 days. You got ample time. You got to respect the game, bro. You got to respect the game. I mean, there seems to be a lack of respect towards this format. You got to respect the game. You've got enough time. You should play old-fashioned Test cricket and wear the opposition down. Because I bet you right now, this is not the best Australian side that have come to England shores. This surely cannot be a better Australian side than the one that came here in 2005 and got beaten by that England side. That Australian side was way better in terms of talent, in terms of everything, you know, bowling attack, batting. So, I mean, you can't tell me this Australian side is one of the best. And by the way you played in that first innings and you were 278 for 4 after 60 overs, it goes to show that Australian attack is not the best. They can be taken to the cleaners. They can be beaten. But it's common sense. I mean, some of the shots, I mean, look at Harry Brooks' shot in the first innings. I mean, where you trying to play that ball? I mean, you're 50. I mean, just calm down, dude. I mean, calm down. You got a whole day to bat. You can bat this team out of the game, essentially. But unfortunately, you play that sort of shots and then you expose the tail, and this is what happens. So I hope they buckle up today. I don't want to see too aggressive cricket. You probably want to see some sort of ascendancy, some sort of game plan on how to chase the score. Because, I mean, if they go down 2-0, there's going to be a lot of question marks raised at McCullum as coach. There's going to be a lot of question marks raised at Stokes, because this is the way they wanted to play. This is the way they want to play from last year. And guess what? I think Rassie van der Dusen's, comments last year about this bears ball approach is true in the sense that it's not going to work in every condition. It's not going to work against every opposition. And it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true what he said. This is not going to work against every opposition. It's not going to work in every condition. You're not going to have it your own way in Test cricket all the time, Sid. And I think the England need to really catch a reality check here on the way they're playing the game. And just take a few steps back and just play normal cricket. Just play normal cricket. You get better. Just play normal cricket. You got to take a few steps back and start playing normal cricket, because I think the England sides that have won Ashes series before that have just played normal Test match cricket. And normal Test match cricket is going to win you games against any team. So that's what they need to do. So it's been a bit disappointing to watch. I mind you, and it has been frustrating to watch as well, the way England have been throwing their wickets away.
I guess we can only have a post-mortem once the first 3 tests are done. Because I have a theory. Should England lose this second test, then they're going to have to go back to the tried and tested method of really seamer-friendly pitches. If you remember when Australia beat England, and I think it was in the second test, it was really a flatty. And then Alistair Cook was asked, what pitches would you prefer? And he said, typical English pitches. And then guess what? It happened in the third test, happened in the fourth test, and then voila, they won the series by that point 3-1. Then Australia won the final test, which is pointless. I think Michael Clarke, was the captain, if I could remember. So my point is that don't try and reinvent the wheel. I mean, it's like if you play balanced baseball, if that even makes sense to anybody, you can play on all surfaces. It's a very balanced baseball. The key word is balanced, right? But if you're playing like a train wreck, then they're not going to cope on seaming pitches. But I think balanced baseball will work on all conditions. It's all about the word balanced, if you get what I'm saying. But I don't want to write off England yet, because Stokes is still there, and Duckett's been batting quite sensibly. Fine, he doesn't leave a lot of balls, but I mean, he's getting there. So let's give it till 3 tests, because my fascination would be what pitches they come up with after they do go down 2-0. They've got to go back to basics. Have these seamer-friendly pitches, and then bowl Australia out for 60, 80, 100, then I think England will win, even if you play bad bowl. I like saying that. That's a nice word. That's a nice roll of the tongue. Bad bowl.
I mean, you know what? Good luck trying to come back from 2-0 down against Australia in a test series. Good luck on that, because if they go 2-0 down here, I mean, we're not writing them off. I mean, we still got Stokes there, you got Duckett there on 50. We're not writing them off, but it's going to take some effort to get the score, to get this total. And it's going to be really special if they do it. It's going to be it's going to be a really special day if they do it. And it'd be good for the series if they do it as well, because, I mean, we want to see a tight series. But if they go down 2-0, it's going to be a totally new game plan come the next test match. They've got to go back to basics. It's going to be a total reality check on the way they play. Because, I mean, it's all fair and well trying to beat New Zealand 3-0, whitewashing New Zealand on good batting wickets. I mean, New Zealand scored runs, you scored runs. India, I mean, the Indian attack was really flat on the Edgbaston test there last year as well, beating India, chasing down the 378 on a really flat wicket. But, I mean, do it against Australia. Try and do it against Australia in an Ashes series where there's so much at stake. I mean, you remember you trying to win back the Ashes, eh? Australia have retained the Ashes. They've had the Ashes for the last 8 years. You're trying to win the Ashes back. And I don't think this is the approach that you've got to make in order to try and win the Ashes back, playing this kind of brand of cricket, reckless brand of cricket. Because I'll go back to say this is not the best Australian side that has come to the shores.
Yeah, even Jeffrey Boycott had said.
Something. They are bowler down in this test match. Lyon is out of this test match. And he could be out of the series as well. So they are bowler down and they've got England 4 down as well. So that's testament to how they're trying to play the game. You know, they're just trying to play normal cricket and putting England under severe pressure here. So, I mean, I can only hope they get the job done today. But if they don't, it's going to be a lot of question marks on their game plan in the first 2 tests of the series. So, yeah, let's see how it goes. But if they go around 2-0, yeah, back to basics and good luck trying to come back from a 2-0 deficit against Australia. I think it would probably be one of the greatest comebacks if they were to win the series from 2-0 down. And
I mean, the only way they'll win the series is if they go back to these seamer-friendly pitches. I remember from the Alistair Cook times, it was from 30th onwards.
Yes, absolutely.
Just get those pitches. And I bet you they'll go back to that. And then England will start playing better. Because if you want to start out for 80, even with bad ball, you'll at least make about 250, 300, and that'll be more than enough on that pitch. And then you kind of have fun bowling them out.
but why don't you play? Because England's strength is seam. England's strength is seaming conditions, seaming and swinging conditions. Why don't you just play to your strengths? England have never been a side where they've like kind of banged it in hard and short bowling and stuff. They've always been seamer friendly. They've always had seamer friendly conditions, seamer friendly bowlers that have got the job done on their surfaces. So why not play to your strengths? Why not prepare pitches to your strength? I mean, home conditions.
I guess you're only
conditions because
Stokes have fast and flat pitches, but neither of these pitches been fast, you know. But these pitches haven't been fast. Fine, they've been mostly flat, but these pitches have not been fast. These are not pitches that Stokes wanted, so I'm sure if England lose, Stokes will have to go back to basics, opt for really greeny pitches that'll really just seem all over the place. He'll have no choice.
Absolutely. You've got to go back to the strengths, and the strengths is seaming and swinging conditions. So I have no idea why they kind of
do it. But let's be positive. I'm still hoping for England.
Yeah, I mean, same here. I mean, hoping for a win today and you know they can have the series 1-1 because I think it's good for the season 3rd test. But I mean, 2-0 down. I mean, there's going to be a lot of question marks on this.
Yeah. Okay. But on a final note, if England are in deep crap, I hope it does rain. Then at least it's only 1-0. Then England can still redeem themselves in the 3rd test onwards.
A draw wouldn't be such a bad thing as well. Although I don't think England deserved to draw this game, but a draw wouldn't be such a bad thing for the series.
Yeah, but it'll only be a draw if it rains, because England don't believe in draws, and you know that already. So I think you're right on the World Cup qualifier, hey? You think Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka will go through, because West Indies have just been pathetic. I was giving them the benefit of the doubt, but man, have I looked stupid. To lose to Netherlands is just pathetic. super over, and then you lose to Scotland by that margin. No, they don't deserve to go through. Can you believe
Yeah,
two times champions, and they go and they're not going through to the World Cup? I got no words.
remember that was way back in the 70s when the West
I
Indies were a
know,
force, eh? So
I
that
know.
was a
I,
really, really long time ago. And I don't think there were too many teams that were competitive in those days. So the Windies were were reigning supreme in those days. But getting back to this current crop, Sid, I think this has been a disastrous competition for them. I mean, selection-wise hasn't been the best. Their game
mm,
plan hasn't been the best. They haven't looked like a team that have actually wanted to actually be at the World Cup. Because I mean, if they look at it like a team that they were wanting to be at the World Cup, I mean, you should be thrashing these minnows. I mean, these are minnows. Remember something, these are minnow teams.
mm,
But
mm.
what we've seen here from these sides, you cannot take anyone for granted in international cricket anymore, and especially in white ball cricket. And we've seen it in the T20 World Cup with these kind of upsets, and we've seen it here in the 50 overs. These teams are closing the gap. They're closing
Mm.
the gap on the big teams.
Yeah.
And I think they also I hope the ICC is listening here. The only way these teams can get better is by playing more cricket, and it's proof right. If you play more cricket, you're going to get better. You're going to get better at your skills. And my word, what a performance from Scotland! This was one of the best all-round performances I've seen from an associate side. They completely outplayed this West Indies outfit yesterday. Completely outplayed this West Indies outfit with the ball. I mean, getting them out for 181. I mean, that was way below par on
Yeah.
those kind of wickets. I mean, they could have. I think West Indies were like 100 to 120 runs short of a good total on that wicket set. And I think the way they went and chased that score was so intelligently as well, Scotland. And
Mm.
the South African born McMillan, McMillan,
Mhm.
South African born. I mean, what all round effort from him with the ball. He took 3 wickets and he dismantled that West Indies top order, and he scored a 50 as well. So, I mean, the Windies have been awful. They've been abject. They've been shambolic. I think the word is shambolic. That's
Mm.
how bad
Mm.
they've been this qualifier. So my money is on Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka now to make it to the World Cup. And I think if those teams make it, it's going to be thoroughly deserved. And I believe those two
Mm.
teams are playing today. That seems to be a good game as well.
Um, Hold on a second. Let me check on the computer. Oh no, the Bobby at 144 for 7, so I don't think it's really a good game. It's more of a mismatch if you ask me. But I don't think it makes a
Okay,
difference because even if the Bobby lose,
yeah,
I'm sure they'll beat the other team.
absolutely.
They'll still go.
I
Yeah.
think Zimbabwe are still good enough to beat the other team. So
Hmm.
I do fancy them to get to the World Cup and with Sri Lanka as well. I think Sri Lanka have been probably a class above the rest. So yeah, those two teams. My money on those two teams to make the World Cup. It's a sad day for West Indies cricket. It's a really sad day for them. I feel for their fans, but unfortunately, it is what it is. They got to go back to the drawing board, and we saw this. We saw the spiraling for a while now. They've been abject for quite a while now. So it's back to the drawing board for them. I do feel sorry for their supporters. One of the saddest days in West Indies cricket yesterday. But you know what? It's probably a blessing in disguise that
Yeah.
they didn't get to the World Cup because they would have really got hammered by some of the best teams in the world. Sorry to say it, but honestly speaking, they would have really, really got a hammering from some of the best teams in the world.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is what it is. We can't flowerize it. I mean,
You can't
even
sugarcoat it
Bishop,
anymore. You really can't
yeah,
sugarcoat it anymore.
yeah, even Bishop had said the warning signs were there from 2018, so that's bad. 5 years. So that's pretty
Yeah,
scary.
absolutely, absolutely.
The great of the game is saying that. That is really disturbing. But I think, yeah, they need a bit of a reboot, like how England did, and they've managed to reinvent themselves in the ODI game. Let's see how this bad bull goes. I will give it till 3 tests. I don't want to write them off if they go 2-0 because if they get the pitches right and they steam all over the place, even with Australia's attack, I think England can surprise. But although I'm just optimist, but it is what it is. We'll wait for today and hoping for an England win. Any final words before we wrap up?
Yeah, hoping for the best today, but preparing for the worst as well. I just
Yeah,
hope
yeah.
Stokes plays one of those magical innings that we know he's capable of. He hasn't had the best innings. I think the captaincy is getting to Stokes here, if you agree with
Mm,
me. I think the captaincy is getting to him because I think he's a better player without the captaincy. I think he's got He's got a lot more responsibility on his shoulders. And I think the Australians, the one thing about Australians, although they're masters of adapting to conditions, they always target the captain. They always target the opposition captain. They always get under their opposition captain's skin. And I think that's what we've seen in the series. They've got under Stokes' skin, and he's wilted under the pressure as captaincy. So if he can overcome that psychological barrier and play one of those knocks that we saw, and I think probably the best knock that I ever saw in Test cricket, the one at Headingley 4 years ago in the Ashes, which was the best Test match innings I've seen under pressure. Everything was just against him, and I mean the way he battled with that number 11 Jack Leach so heroically and got England over the line. I mean, he needed a bit of a luck, and he got some luck there in that game as well. But I mean, I think that was the best knock in Test match cricket by far, with the pressure on him. And if he can replicate that one today, we can see something special. But if England go 2-0 down, I mean, yeah, it's back to basics here. It's back to the drawing board and back to the seamer-friendly conditions, as you said. So, yeah, hoping for an England win, eh? And I think it'll be good for the series as well. And yeah, as I said, Zimbabwe not in a very good position here, but I think they're good enough to beat the likes of Scotland and Netherlands to get to the World Cup. So yeah, I think to see two African sides of the World Cup will actually be good as well.
Which African sides? Even Zimbabwe and
South Africa.
Oh, that. Oh, sorry. I thought you were referring to the qualifiers. I mean, two African countries coming out of the qualifiers. I was wondering like what you were talking about. Okay, fine. Now I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, on a final note, before you wrap this off, if you look at the 257 divided up by 3 sessions or 4 sessions today, it's more like 80 plus runs a session. It's doable. I mean, if you're giving it like 30 overs a session, the run rate's even under 3 for those sessions. So they can do it. Just bat sensibly. I know it's easy in theory, but just bat sensibly and then have a surprise win. Because many people are saying Australia will win, so I'm hoping that'll be wrong. But anyway, it's great to catch up with you. We will talk soon.
Cheers, sir. Enjoy the cricket and enjoy the rest of your weekend and chat to you soon, eh?
Sure, man.
Cheers.